I know somebody that has a business going around and getting all these blighted pieces of property. And I never really got into it about how it works. He just told me he buys them for $1. And then he has to redo it, and then they go back in the tax roll, like you said.
Mhm.
It's a positive thing for the government. But, you know, when you start thinking about this, so after, I think it's the third year, they put it up for auction.
Mhm.
And when they put it up for auction, that means that someone's going to pay for it. It's pay the back taxes. They're eliminating the back taxes now, right?
The land bank does have the ability to do that.
So
Yeah.
when you're getting it there, the county loses the money from whatever it would be, which is
The money
probably
that
nothing,
currently isn't being
probably
paid.
zero,
Yeah.
right? But now the people that own that property, depending where it is, there's a value to the land, and there's a value of the building's not completely garbage, which it might not be. Who pays the owner the equity that he would have had if he didn't get it taken away?
So again, we're not looking to take properties. It's not a foreclosure process, and properties like this, right, lack equity, right? I mean, the ones we're targeting are ones that lack equity. Now, if there is, again, a strategic purchase that a city wants to do, and they've got to do it at market value, then they're being paid for the equity. But the whole point of this is properties that don't have equity, that aren't attracting private development.
What I was trying to get at is like, say you live in Homer Township and you haven't paid your taxes in 3 years and you have no intention of paying.
Hmm.
And the house is not the best shape, but it's still valuable. Okay, then they take it, and then the owner can sue the county or the city or whoever it is to get up to $100,000. I think that's the number right now. But there's a federal law that says they got to get all their equity. That was in 2023.
Okay.
The Supreme Court ruled that you can't take people's houses without giving them all the equity. So there's this disparity between federal and state law in Illinois.
Yeah.
And if they go to court, I'm sure that the federal law supersedes the state law. So now, what happens if somebody decides to say, I want my equity, and it turns out there is, you're saying there is no equity because there's only, say, so if it's a blighted home and it's got a lot of fines and a lot of this and that, there might only be $20,000 left. So that's like nothing. But who pays that equity?
So what you're referencing, to my understanding, is the tax sale process, right?
Correct.
The land bank wouldn't have tax sale powers, right? So in a case like this, we wouldn't be the disposing entity that seizes equity, right? And so, like what you're describing, imagine, if you will, it's somebody who's just in a home, maybe still living there, and got a few years behind and got their taxes sold, right? That isn't the sort of property we're contemplating.
No, I'm talking
here.
about if they left their home
Sure.
and didn't pay for 3 years. Am I correct? It's 3 years. If you don't pay, that's when they go into work.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying if they left for 3 years and let the place just go to garbage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's still a value of the land and a value of something in there, maybe.
Yeah.
So if they want to get their money up to 100,000 in the state of Illinois without fighting the feds, who pays that if they take it to court and they say, does the land bank have to pay that money, or is it the county that gave it to the land bank?
So the land bank would not be the tax seizing entity. And I'll be candid, I'm not expert in this space you're describing. I don't want to put you on the spot, Treasurer Brophy, but do you have is that something you've encountered?
I don't know if it's
Let's try this one. Okay. So if your taxes aren't paid, they go to a tax sale. And private entity buys it. Year 2, the private entity can do that again. Year 3, the private entity can do that again. And then they can go to court and ask a judge to give them the deed. Tyler is the case that they're referring to up in Minnesota, Kevin. Illinois is one of the last to finally take any action with regards to the results of that case.
Hey, Ned, how you
And
doing?
we're due for some changes in the way we hold tax sales now. Used to be that tax buyer received the property for whatever they had paid in tax. They paid, say, $5,000 a year in tax. They paid 15 grand plus whatever maintenance and holding costs. So they own the property for 15,000, free and clear of anything else. The mortgages, the liens, everything is out of their way when they've finished that process. In some cases, the properties are not purchased by a
All
tax
the
buyer.
HCRO will be there.
So the levy entities
it's
on the
like
tax
a,
bill are out that money because nobody wants it. It sits for year 1, it sits for year 2, it sits for year 3. And at that point, the trustee that we've employed will hold this auction. So it's different. The tax sale is one thing, the auction is another. Auctions are 3-year-old property. We put them in, we use a silent bid process, and anybody can submit a silent bid to buy that parcel for a minimum of $801. I don't know where that minimum comes from. If it's statutory, I'm not sure, but it's $801 at the moment. Once those are purchased, as I understand it, they're purchased at auction and they get the property lien free. So where this comes in is where nobody paid the back taxes, nobody bought them at tax sale, and nobody bought it at auction. Nobody wants this property. These are what we're talking about. Now, we have worked with the trustee. It's an Edwardsville law firm that does this for the entire state. Almost every county of the 102 counties, I think 90 some use this same firm. We've worked with them before to pull things off of that list in cases where somebody has said, hey, there's a use for that property. Can we negotiate this directly? And they do. And they come up with a fair market value and they trade, it goes back on the tax roll. But there are still many that sit unused and unacted upon that nobody wants. Does that address the specific question, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, you answered it pretty well, but my question is, there's always some people that just don't care. And then they realize there's a law that says they get paid the difference between what their house
Yes.
is worth. And they're gonna say, well, I want my money.
Right.
And
The lawsuit did reinstate some rights to those folks for some equity in some.
Right, so the
In some
question
cases.
I got is, I'm just what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
If somebody says say like year number 3, they're taking, goes up and you give it away, all right, because it's blighted, it's no good, and there's a lot of money owed. Then year number 4 comes and the guy says, hey, you took my property. Now, I don't know about statute of limitations.
Yeah, there are time limits and so.
But let's just say it's year 4, guy calls up and says, hey, I want my equity out of this thing. And then somebody's got to argue the point. Say it's only $4,000 or $5,000,
Right,
but someone's got to pay it.
right. So
If they go to court and they lose, you know what I'm saying?
there's a formula there. We haven't implemented it yet, but as I understand it, there's going to be a new formula which says when that tax buyer takes the property, upon the first transfer, that establishes the value. So if he bought this house for $15,000 in taxes, and he turns around and sells it for $45,000, there's a $30,000 profit there, right? That's the number that's in play now that the previous owner can come back and ask for. What we don't know is what these entities, I think, are going to do is they're going to transfer it for $15,000 to entity B. And now that first transfer is 0 profit in it. And then entity B is going to go out and do something with it. So, and I don't know how this will play in what the courts will do with it. But that's what we're hearing. Some of these tax buyers are simply setting up LLC 1 and LLC 2, and they transfer between, and then that solves the problem of it having any equity for anybody to sue for.
Yeah,
So right now, there's a loophole.
yeah, so it's kind of like something that's out in the cloud.
Right,
Okay.
but again,
So we
these
don't
are
know the
not,
answer.
Let's move on if we
Well,
can.
Okay.
these are not.
I just wanted to know. We
Yeah.
really don't know the
We
answer.
don't have the answer, right? Yeah, that's correct.